This week, we take our fish gun and go hunting in the Rotwood, where we stumble upon the animal well. Will the ghost of the dead animals take the revenge, or will we escape with our lives? This and more on episode 190 of Indie Game Riot. Indie Game Riot! Hey everybody, we're back. Episode 190 of Indie Game Riot. First thing I want to say is, sorry for the delay. We did take a little bit of time off after IRX, but also I was in the middle of a big move. I'm in a new place now. You might see my shelf is not full. Slightly different in the background, all that sort of stuff. This music needs to chill the fuck out. It's music from Sub-Zero Subnautica. But yeah, so that's why there was a bit of a delay, and then we were going to start last week, but then Rev had an operation that needed to be done, so we had to delay one more week, which is fine. I hope you're feeling better. You look less bionic today.
Yeah, no, I had a surprise oral surgery on last Wednesday. I thought we were going to just do a couple of crowns, and I get in there and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna numb you up first," and then she turns to her assistant and is like, "Hey, can you get the tissue puncture?" And I was like,
boy.
"What the fuck is that?" And she was like, "The last time we did oral surgery on you, you were much more compliant." I was like, "Yeah, I was unconscious that time."
Exactly.
So they did an implant and then a bunch of crowns and then ripped out and did some fillings, and my mouth was super sore and I was not in the mood to talk indie games last week.
You could have sucked it up. It's funny, you were much more compliant. It sounds like like the beginning of a Rob Zombie movie. Like they would have, like knocked you out and with the butt of a gun.
Right.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better, health wise.
Yeah.
And Vance, how was your time off? What did you do?
Worked on the game mainly. That's about it. Just working hard to get this game tested and finished, and looking for testers for it. If anybody's interested in this sort of game, let me know, because I'd like to get more people on it. It's certainly at the point where I don't want to just let a bunch of random people come in quite yet, but people who are vetted through either being viewers of this show or my Discord or that kind of stuff, then definitely let me know. I will get you into the game so we can get this thing tested. But other than that, I got a new guitar.
Oh shit! Are you gonna put on a concert?
Well, yeah. So as you know, I used to be a bass player, but now my left hand doesn't work because of nerve problems, so I can't play the bass. So we've been cycling through a few bass players in my band, and so eventually, when we lost the last bass player, we were like, fuck it. Let's figure out a way that I can play the bass. And so my left hand doesn't work, so I'm like, okay, I'll get a guitar. And then I can use my right hand to play, and then, my left hand is capable of, working the pitch ribbon and that kind of stuff on the guitar. So I'll just play bass on the keys and use, a bass sound from that. So that's our current plan. So I've been practicing our songs and relearning them on the keys rather than the bass.
Ah, nice.
Cool.
And by the way, for those of you who don't remember or weren't around for IRX, the game that Vance is working on is a card game, deck builder basically, kind of inspired by Magic and things like that. that we had Rev and I had a lot of fun with. We played against each other. I absolutely dominated. But you can go watch some gameplay
in the second match
once we have those archives up. But really a lot of fun. So if you have any time to do some QA on that and some testing, go do that, because I think you will enjoy it. And speaking of IRX, thank you to everyone who did show up. That was a ton of fun, especially after all that time back. It was exhausting, but a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun, Rev and Vance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't go on any longer than it did, but yeah. It was,
absolutely.
I'm glad you enjoyed your first time, and hopefully next year will be a lot. Will be even better, bigger and better, badder, uncut, whatever you want to call it. So that said, I think to get us back in the groove of things, now that we're back, I think we should take a little bit of an indie news injection.
Hey everybody, on Indie News Injection this week, we have a fun little start. You know how everybody says that, like, gamers are creeps and, all that fun jazz?
I
like,
always say that.
There's a... Right, yeah. No, there's a reputation.
Back here.
Capital G gamers. Apparently somebody had a really cool idea, and by really cool idea, I mean it really... hurts me in my soul. They're working on it's a place called Spectrum Studio, and they're describing their new groundbreaking game as a mix of Life is Strange in terms of the narrative, Final Fantasy in terms of the story and characters, Heart of Darkness in terms of adventure levels with their dog, and The Tourist with the exploration and questing, and also Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 due to tricks and specials. So mix all of that together, which sounds absolutely horrific to begin with, and then stick that into a sauna. And the main character is going to be the master of the sauna and is in charge of performing in the various saunas, smells, music, choreography, etc. Right? Okay, so the game idea, whatever. Like this is indie games. Let's go with your weird shit and let's do it. The problem is he's posting a job. They're looking for an art director to create the art Bible, doing a Slavic shamanistic art design, do all the assets, etc., as well as hiring a PFY to help you out. And then there's this one little caveated requirement that is non-negotiable. You must attend sauna sessions with the company, with the boss. And so far, everything that he's done... Right? Everything that he has done has been like, oh, my narrative girls, and hey, you're a woman, so we have to do saunas and they have to be naked. And it's just really fucking skeezy, right? And then he starts calling out his narrative lady, a woman by the name of Magdalena Cusenti, and is like, hey, this is one of my people. And come to find out, no, she teaches a class that this guy attended, and he called her up after he exited her class and was like, hey, I've got a game narrative that I would like you to read through for me. So she does that for everybody in her class. Like, if they come up with something, she'll like, oh yeah, I'd love to help you get involved. She does this, and now he's listing her as being like part of his employees, and like, oh yeah, just ask her. She's doing fine and doesn't have any problems with my naked sauna requirements. It's fucking nuts and gross. And like, why, guys? Why? Like,
so when I had you guys join me at that Japanese bathhouse.
That was an experience.
No, I mean, if it's consensual, then I'll love our part, yeah.
You know, at first though,
in this case though, like it's not, and that's the problem. Like he's in a position of power. This is a potential new hire.
I mean, okay, just to play devil's advocate. First of all, I think that this guy's the biggest moron that I've ever heard of. But
Yeah.
you know, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, he said what the requirement was in the job posting. If you decide to take the job, that's up to you. You are free to not take the job.
Yeah.
That is true. But then he starts hounding women who had reached out to him and went, "Wait a second, you know, like
certainly." Well, all the other things he's done is certainly. But I mean, just posting that, I don't know. I don't know if that's that terrible. I mean, I certainly wouldn't take the job, but you know, I mean, if you put that in the job posting, then you know, people have the opportunity to decide whether or not. But then he goes on and like lies about his, you know, relationships with people and all kinds of shit. So.
It was
I kind of
really skeevy.
When I read that, I kind of had the same thought at first. I was like, okay, well maybe it's like a cultural thing that I'm just like that other people are jumping on, but no, it's because I mean the people he's talking to are also from the same area, I believe.
For the most part.
Yeah. So I so it's not because they're obviously upset by it. Because you know, like. You know, I joke about the Japanese bathhouse, but that's like a cultural norm, right? A bunch of guys. But again, it's a bunch of guys, too. But either way, even if it was guys, the whole, like, forcing you to do it is
I don't know how it is in Japan, but in Korea, I mean, you can go with girls. You go into separate... There's, like, the nude area, and then there's, like, the not as nude area. And you can be together with other people of different sexes in the not as nude area.
Oh, I didn't know it was co-ed. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, Spectrum Studios. I like.
Stop being skeevy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you give us a bad name.
Yeah. Stop making us creepy.
You give men a bad name. You give men a bad name. You're the reason that women avoid our industry.
Fucking white gamer dudes, man. Anyway. Speaking of white gamer dudes, I don't know if that's true or not. The head of IGN, I think, is a white gamer dude, but I'm not sure. Actually, it's probably just a white dude. He probably doesn't even play games, to be honest with you, because it's like a big corporation now. But anyway, IGN has somewhat recently, I say recently because when I found it, it was recent, acquired Eurogamer, Game Informer, VG247, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and more outlets. So this consolidation of fucking news outlets, gaming news outlets, is pretty shitty.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad for the industry. I understand from a business perspective that, you know, they're taking out the competition essentially, or at the very least absorbing it. But man, what a monopoly, and why was this allowed? Is my question. I guess IGN is an American company, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, I believe, is British. Eurogamer is also not American, I don't think. But I think...
Eurogamer is not American. I would with that name.
Well, I mean, I could see some douchebag from New Jersey be like, we're going to put a little bit of class on this bitch and call it Eurogamer. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you think this is going to affect the industry.
I mean, it's going to... There has been a grand total of 0 times when monopoly or monopolistic things have been of a benefit to the user, to society.
Oh yeah, that's the point of having a monopoly, so that you don't have to provide as good of a service because
exactly. Yeah, I do think as long as if they keep their fucking mitts out of it, which they won't, but if they do, it could be okay. Just because, you know, each of those outlets has its own like kind of niche. Like they all cover gaming, but they cover generally different aspects. They have a different focus to it.
And they have different they had different ways of presenting it too. Like Rock Paper Shotgun was probably closer to like our style when it came to their journalism, whereas IGN's very like I don't know, like they're like the Entertainment Weekly of fucking sorry IGN, but I mean to be honest with you, you know what I mean. You know, Ian in chat was saying most game journalists are just stenographers or AAA hype machines, and I kind of agree with that. And I've had this discussion before, where I you know, a little bit of a conspiracy theory thing, where it was like, well, you know, it's hard to have objective, you know, journalism and things like that when they're accepting ads from games and blah blah blah, which, you know. And you know, I've had people argue with me. Well, no, they have to be independent, otherwise they would lose trust. But like, it's pretty. I don't know, especially over the past decade, more and more apparent in journalism in general.
I mean, when a reviewer gets fired because a game studio pulled their ads because you gave it a slightly lower ranking than they felt that they deserved, you've got a problem.
Are you saying? And he's saying in chat too. I think access is the bigger currency, and that is. I mean, and because I also saw before you were saying about needing more independent game journalists, and speaking to the choir here, you know what I mean. But that's true, because it's very hard for us to get access to certain games, especially the ones that are more. You know, like I can't think of the words, but you know, the larger games, the ones that are people are looking forward to more. Anticipated was the word I was looking for. You know, for instance, there's a particular PR company that I'm subscribed to several, but there's one that in particular that rarely gives codes. I'm like, why did you even let me sign up? And then they quote run out of codes, even though, as we've discussed before, that's not a thing. You know, so I don't really understand that either. But
well, if it's not the developer, so are you talking about like the developer is running out of codes, or some site that's providing codes is running out of codes?
No, it's not a publishing, but it's a marketing group.
Right.
You know,
so that's possible to run out of codes because the developer gives you a batch of codes,
right?
And then
but then they can give more. Is my point.
Sure, but then they'd have to, you know, actually contact developers and whatnot, and a lot of those sites don't actually do that.
Yeah.
What they do is they leave it up to the developer to do everything themselves, and
God forbid they do something. You know, that they get
that you're paying them for.
Right. But the point is that, you know, it's hard to, you know, unless you are the IGN of the world, it's hard to get access to that stuff, and and this just kind of feeds into the whole, you know, the whole transparency of the industry for games journalism, and it really sucks. And you know, I remember seeing something on that it was like a journalist from IGN or a large outlet like that, where they were basically, you know, people were complaining like, oh, why do you always, like, all your games you're always giving, like, you know, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and they're like, well, we don't really have time to cover games that wouldn't get that, so you don't really see that very often.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's not, I mean, like, that sucks because you're missing hidden gems in that way, and it's just making it harder for small indie games and small studios to get their start in that case when you're constantly
there is also there is also though the element, like, you know, the time, like here on our show we show 3 games per week, right? Do you have any idea how many games we look at, how many games we, you know, like, we're doing our own filtering, and the stuff that filters through this is, you know, like we're limited, you know, submit your game, sure, but I can't promise that we're going to show it, and if it's not something that one of us can be excited about, you know, it sucks.
And speaking of, that too about filtering and things like that is it sucks. One, some of the bigger companies, again, about access and some of the shady lack of transparency, is that if you give a bad review, I've seen it firsthand, not well, I shouldn't say first, secondhand, that people, you give a bad review and then they blacklist you. No more codes from them. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, shit. Companies like IGN have more leverage, but they can do that. But I could see that happening. If they were to be more, in my opinion, more honest about certain games. And that said, they do occasionally rip a new one into the Redfalls of the world, things like that. But the point is, when they're strong-arming journalists into it, it's hard to have any more independent journalism, let alone now it's being monopolized. There was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was. But it was about having access to it. But the filtering. So that's another thing. Similar again with the PR companies and things like that, sending stuff out. They, like, if you do not, you can, you say you cover something, you need, like, they expect you, and again, God forbid they do their fucking job, but they expect you to be the one to then notify them that you've created this, and you have to, like, link everything and spend all this time to do that. Or if they give you a code and you're like, oh, well, this actually wasn't as good as I thought, so I don't think we're going to cover it, then you get, like, harshly punished. Like, then they're like, well, now we don't trust you because you didn't cover this particular game. You're just trying to get games for free. And I'm like, we like you said, we only have 3 slots a week. And if your game sucks, are you sure you want me to cover it? Because we can be that outlet, I guess. Even though, that's like kind of going against our shtick of the positive, journalism. So we kind of stay away from games that we're not going to be able to be positive about. So I don't know. The whole thing is just a trap full of bullshit, to be honest with you. And it sucks for everyone. And I wish. I don't know. Sometimes I wish IGN would fuck off, to be honest.
Wish capitalism was less of a thing.
And they acquired like Humble Bundle, which I like Humble Bundle, but you can definitely feel like once they got acquired by IGN, you can definitely feel the
change in
the corporate change in how they run things there, even with the charities and all that. So anyway, anything else you guys want to say about IGN's monopolization?
Capitalism bad. Please don't fuck it up. You've got some good things going there.
Rip.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. Go ahead.
Well, I know Vance is like definitely the more moderate, I think, out of our group. I think that's safe to say. So I know not everything that Rev or I talk about you necessarily agree with, but I don't know.
I mean, I agree with this conversation. Is that games journalism sucks. I mean, it has sucked, and
for a long time.
Monopolies are not going to make it better, right?
Yeah.
You need competition. That's while I don't particularly hate capitalism, it doesn't work if there are a bunch of monopolies, right? I mean, that against the spirit of capitalism for there to be monopolies. That's right. Why there
because there's got to be competition. Yeah. That's how it goes. But anyway, we should do to make our thoughts heard on this topic. I think
we should.
Yeah, go ahead, say it. Say it.
Oh no, start a riot.
Yeah. Hey everybody, back with Starting a Riot. This week we're talking about a game called Animal Well. You may have heard about this during IRX or literally anywhere else as of recently. It's a very, very well taken. Man, I can't think of vocabulary today. I'm sorry. It's a very
well received.
Well received. Thank you for helping my riddled brain. I'm also very
addled. But yeah.
Fuck you all. I hate myself. Anyway, Animal Well won, as a matter of fact, our most revolutionary game award for IRX. And because of that, I wanted to give it a more in-depth feature on IGR. Since we, during IRX, we only, kind of give the Cliff Notes versions of everything with during our spotlights and everything like that. So I know Rev has played Animal Well. I don't think Vance has had the chance to play yet, if I'm mistaken. But I played a little bit on stream during IRX, and I got around to I think where you had been, if I think Rev, because you were backseat gaming me real hard.
Yeah, you took a different route and ran away like a coward from something. But,
I think I am close to beating it. I think I am stuck, to be honest with you, and I don't want to use a walkthrough because I don't want to I want to be able to do it myself.
Claim that you did it yourself.
Right. But I believe it is. First of all, the game. One big reason it won the game is because most revolutionary game is because of how incredibly well it's designed. And platforming and puzzle and everything like that, the mechanics and their usage. But I believe the map, as you uncover it, is divided up into 4 segments where you have to essentially beat 4 bosses, right? And the one that everyone has seen, so it's not really a spoiler, is the ghost dog, right? You encounter it pretty early on, but you're not really. You can get by it, but you're not beating it until later on because you don't have the things to beat it with at that point. I am at that point now where I think I have everything I need to beat it, but it is fucking hard. I don't know how far you got, Rev.
What items do you have?
I have the frisbee. I have the yo-yo. I have the bubbles.
You have the actual disc?
I have the actual disc, and then I have been trying to get the fake disc that I had put there to get the actual disc so I can put that somewhere else. And I guess to appease the dog ghost. But so there's that, and then there's another part with some otters that I'm having a real hard time with. The bat.
Further than me.
Yeah. There's also a bat that's pretty rough. By the way, in this game has a really interesting vibe to it. It's weirdly cute, but also times creepy. There are some enemies in this game that are kind of they make me feel uncomfortable, such as the bat. There's something about there's a kangaroo at a certain point scared the absolute shit out of me. And even though it's a kangaroo, something about how the look in this game with the glowing eyes and the etherealness of everything just made it really uncomfortable. And that's true for I think most of these, and the sound design in this game too is really well done. The dachshund, that was a bitch. Speaking of ones
I hate that dog.
That
so
made
bad.
me so stressed out. I was so stressed out playing that part. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know, Animal Well is a puzzle platformer made by one dude, I believe, Billy Basso, who just put his heart and soul into a freaking puzzle platformer and fucking knocked it out of the park. It is, let me see, currently, I mentioned it's popular. There are currently over 10,000, well over 10,000 reviews, and it's overwhelmingly positive at a 96%. Damn. And that's just the reviews. So, the amount of, this dude has made a game by himself. One of those, and I think when we who did we talk to? I think it was, I forget who we talked to about it, but they mentioned like, you know, the Concerned Apes of the world and now Billy Bastards of the world. That's like a one in you know, a million time that happens, where one dude makes a game and it's their first game, and then you know, you're hugely successful. So
Right. Yeah, that was Edward McMillan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I thought so, but I didn't want to speak out of turn. But anyway, and speaking of stressful and creepy, that ghost dog in itself, that whole second time that you need to deal with it is incredibly stressful. It's very hard, and I don't want to spoil it, but man, be prepared. The other, you know, another nice thing about the design of this game too is that there's not really any hand-holding. Everything is learned by trial and error, but it's not so punishing that, in the most, at least when you discover new mechanics anyway, it's not so punishing that, you know, you get upset. Sometimes there's, you know, with how these saves are, because you can't save unless you just happen to be in a room that has a save in it, and save it there. Otherwise, you end up starting back at the last time you saved. There are moments where I wish some of the saves were a little closer, but it's never been so punishing where I've not wanted to play it. Outside of where I'm stuck at now. But that's not even about the saves. That's just for the difficulty level. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to say right now. Oh, it is currently for sale, $24.99 on Steam. If anyone wants to go play it. Now, where without spoiling, where are you at, Rev?
So I am on my 9th start. Because I keep trying different routes and trying to determine whether or not, like, I found an optimum. Do I do this one first? Do I get the disc or the bubble wand first? Because they both have their pros and cons, and just kind of general exploration. So I have beat 2 bosses.
Okay.
I've never gotten more than 2 bosses beat.
But they're different ones from before, so you've experienced them.
I've experienced the seahorse and oh shit, what's the other one?
The seahorse is an easy one.
Not for me. The controls are so tight and demanding. It's nuts. Like learning all of those subtle tricks that you can do with the equipment is by far one of the more frustrating things, because it never actually tells you. Yeah, there is no tutorial, there is no like you learn it on the fly or you don't learn. Now, the level design, I will say, does a pretty good job of introducing you to the concepts of some of the things before you need them or fully encounter them, but that is not always the case. For example, writing on your disc is a thing that you can do. It is explained absolutely nowhere, and if I hadn't accidentally hit into, like I would have never known.
I discovered that on accident as well, but I discovered it almost immediately because I was like in an area where it like ricocheted off the wall, and I just happened to jump and it got stuck on. I was like, oh my god. So yeah,
mine was much later.
Well, there's parts that you have to do that too, so I'm surprised.
Yeah,
it took you that long.
Well, because like I haven't gone, like I said, I haven't really gone up too much, and I haven't gone to the right too much. I've primarily covered the lower left and just trying to find all of the little things that are there.
Have you been crushed by a chinchilla?
That does not sound familiar to me. No.
There's an achievement for being crushed by a chinchilla, so crush yourself.
I will try and find a chinchilla to crush me.
I will say.
Hope that doesn't awaken a new kink.
That's something that took me a while, because there are chinchillas in the game, and I was like scared to go near them at all. But apparently they don't hurt you unless they just happen to crush you.
I thought that they were squirrels.
There are
Those,
squirrels
like the
in
one
game,
that took. Oh, okay.
but they're not
like
interactable or anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think they're just like if you walk into a new room, there might be a squirrel that like runs away or something. And I think there is a squirrel that like I don't know what it has to do with anything.
Throw a firecracker at it.
Yeah, I don't know what it has to do with anything, but like it'll be in a certain area, then you go in and it'll run off. And I believe it's the same squirrel every time. But no, the chinchillas are like big fat, like my friend Totoro looking things. So, don't be afraid is all I'm saying.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. One of the problems that I do have with it, and this is just a me thing, not a them thing. Everything is very, very hard for me to see, foreground and background. And we know that that's an ongoing issue for me for a lot of games, but it is particularly hard in this game.
I could see that, and I know you were complaining about the dark, the map, not being able to see the map in the darkness, but that's like part of the game. It's a game mechanic.
It is absolutely part of it. That's that one. The not being able to open up your map and see where you're at on the map when you're in a dark area, like that is a design choice, and I understand it, even if it irritates me as a gamer. Like, I'm not upset about that one. It's is that safe to jump on? Is that safe to jump on? Where is the gap? Where is the hole? That sort of thing. It's
made to stress you out too, because there are certain times where you're trying to get through there, and there are like timing things, and sometimes you're kind of running away from other things, and all of a sudden it's dark and you can't. There could be spike pits for all you know.
And if you haven't collected a match and there isn't a candle.
Yeah. Those birds on screen too also freaked me out at first, because I thought they were going to hurt me, but you can ride on them. Another little tip. Yeah, there's a bird on screen. It'll like follow you around as you move around the level. So yeah, they won't hurt you. Another.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, no, I know that one. Yeah, those birds are fine.
Yeah. Anything that interests you, Vance, in the game?
Oh, yeah, the game looks very interesting. If at times when I'm in a certain mindset, it is definitely the type of game that I would enjoy playing. I haven't played it yet because I haven't been in that particular mindset recently. It seems a little stressful for my current state of mind. But yeah, it's but yeah, it looks great. The art looks great, and it looks like I mean, I watched you play it for quite a long time on IRX, so I saw that the puzzle design looked great. So looks like a really fun game.
How many eggs have you unlocked? Have you gotten to any of the tiers yet? Opened any of the secret doors with those?
I have opened the first tier, or at least gotten enough eggs to do so many times, but I end up starting a new save before I get in there. I know that there are things past that.
Yeah. I've opened up the second one to this point.
Nice.
But you have to open up the first one to even progress, because it's like a voice behind there. Again, I don't want to spoil anything.
Don't want to spoil.
But I am curious, because at this point, like I said, I think there's like 4 doors, I believe, 4 or 5. So and it feels like I'm like towards the end, but I'm also like, I'm kind of curious, like, what does that mean about those doors? Like, what are they behind there? But secrets,
hidden bosses.
Yeah, I keep I'm watching the trailer on Steam, and I keep seeing that dachshunds, like giving me PTSD.
Right? It's so horrible. Yeah. I hate that dog so much.
Ugh. All right. Anything else you want to say about Animal Well?
Check it out. It is so in depth, and there are so many hidden mechanics, and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's really well done. For somebody's first publishing attempt and somebody's solo dev game, they did good.
Man, $25 just times the amount of reviews and not not even including all the downloads. That's a lot of money. Congratulations, Billy.
Yeah, you can probably say, if you take the reviews and like multiply it by 10 or maybe even 20, probably more like 20 is right. How many people are playing it? I don't know how many people are playing it, but
well, great job, Billy, and great job to our next developer too, because you're coming up on Peep Show.
Today on Peep Show, we are talking about a game called Rotwood. Rotwood is a game in which it is a roguelike game in that you basically go as far as you can, die, come back, go as far as you can. Although there are different levels, right? You beat one eventually, and then you move on to the next one. But each run, of course, are not expected to ever get through a level on the first, second, or 103rd try. But eventually you can. And so you like most roguelikes, you pick up a lot of your skills and equipment and all that kind of stuff during the run, but there are some things that you keep, like your weapon and armor and stuff like that. You can actually carry over, and so you get progressively stronger as you go. I had a lot of fun with this, especially the first level. It was really interesting trying to figure out what should I be doing? What's the correct path? Because there's different ways you can go. Each time you defeat a room, you can go, do I want to go to the shop right now, or do I need to get more currency, or that kind of thing? So it's always a decision.
So when you say which way to go, is it like FTL style where there's like
there's a path that you get to choose? Yeah.
Okay.
So each room, you walk in. There's a bunch of enemies. You have to fight all the enemies. You defeat the enemies, and then there's between 1 and 3 paths leading out of that room. Obviously, there's no choice if there's only one, but there could be 2 paths, 3 paths, and it tells you where the paths lead. So, like, this path leads to a potion. So if you're low on health, you probably want to go that way. Or this leads to a shop. So if you want to buy some stuff, you might want to go that way, right, etc. So you kind of map your way through. One thing I found out, so you don't really know what you're trying to do that well when you start out the game. So you just go in, you're like, okay. And so I started out, I think probably a natural way to start out is like, okay, I tried to go the directions that are going to give me the skills and talents to be able to beat and get to the end of this. And like, okay, sure. I beat and got to the end, and then there's the final boss, which is this big tree. And okay, this is literally impossible. There is no way I am ever going to beat this tree. So then you realize, okay, now I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be trying to find the best talents for this run. I'm supposed to be going the directions that give me permanent upgrades, and just basically ignore all the ones that don't until you get strong enough. And then your final run where you're trying to, finally beat that boss, then you go and get all the upgrades and the skills and whatnot to try to do that. So.
Gotcha. And this is co-op too, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was not able to test that because I have no friends whatsoever. But
definitely not here.
But I didn't get around to doing that, but it is possible.
The co-op is interesting with the roguelike aspect of it because everyone's runs can be different in that case. I mean, you're all on the same path, when you're playing together, but everyone can choose different talents, I'm assuming. And just as a reminder, this is an early access game, so there may be like balancing things that are going to change and things like that. Because you mentioned about the tree being hard, so that may be something that they balance in the end. Who knows?
I don't think, because I did eventually get past the tree, but you're supposed to lose, right?
Yeah.
That's part of a roguelike is you're supposed to get there and then get the ever loving crap beat out of you. And then,
think of it very much in the line of like Hades, where like every run you're getting slightly better to get through. In terms of difficulty, the devs have said straight up, like, nope, this is supposed to be a really fucking difficult game, and we don't intend on changing that aspect.
Interesting.
They did also, like, they have made some quality of life changes. They've changed the way that armor reads now as opposed to the way that it used to. I don't know. For me, like, I really enjoyed this game. The problem that I had was that the controls felt a little bit kind of wonky. Like, was that your experience at all? Did you have?
I thought they were really responsive. To the point that like it really felt like I was in total control of my character at all times. Were you playing on like a gamepad or?
Yeah, I had a controller.
That might be an issue with that then, because I was playing on the mouse and keyboard. So I don't know, maybe.
Looking at the animation, it seems a little. I don't want to say choppy, but like, you know how like hand drawn sometimes it has that like the frames, like it's like a low frame rate animation. Mm-hmm. But I think that's more of a stylistic choice.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah.
And by the way, this is made by, speaking of developers, this is made by Clay, who made Don't Starve and Oxygen Not Included. And they're kind of known for those survival base building-ish type games. But when they branch out into other genres like this, I think are a little bit underrated. For instance, not that long ago, they came out with a game called Griftlands, which is a roguelike deck builder that was a ton of fun and really well done, I thought. So I'm excited to see them kind of. I mean, again, they're going with this roguelike aspect, but now it's like a dungeon crawler roguelike. So I'm excited to see where they go with this. And so if they're not doing balancing and things like that, did you happen to see any kind of roadmap to see where they're going for, since they're in early access?
Yeah, no, they had one. Where did I see that? They'll be continuing through the rest of this year and into 2025. More bosses, more gear, more biomes, that sort of thing. There was, I want to say they had a roadmap that was posted on their Discord, but I don't remember what that contained.
Well, they'll, anyone who's interested obviously can go take a look, and I'm sure it's probably listed on somewhere in like one of the Steam updates or something like that. Speaking of Steam, it is actually a really good price, I think, $10.99 on Steam, and I think
it will go up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they're gonna increase it in steps throughout the. So if you want it for a good price, get it now. $10.99 for that. So, anything else you want to say about Rotwood, Vance?
Fun with it. It's definitely a game that I am probably never ever going to complete, though. I'm just not that good at this type of game.
If you keep playing, if you try 1,000 times, you will be 1,000 times better.
That's really how that works, I think.
So says Josh Radamas.
But I did have a lot of fun with it, and I especially liked, trying out the different weapons, seeing which play style worked best for me, because there's very different play styles depending on what weapon you decide to use, and so each one trying out. Like, the balls are really fun to a degree, but when they're not really fun, they're really, really annoying because you're running around trying to collect your balls as you do.
That is pretty annoying. Yeah. when you drop your balls, you got to go collect them.
So I settled on the spear myself. I think that's my weapon of choice. I can, do my hit and dodge strategy, which is what I've been doing. Just hit, dodge, hit, dodge.
Vance is the guy on the outside of the mosh pad, just like pushing people back in.
Exactly.
All right, well, that is Rotwood. Go check it out by Clay Entertainment. Always a quality game coming from them, so I think it's a pretty safe bet. You'll have some fun with this if you're into roguelikes and dungeon crawlers. Even if you're not, give it a try, because it could be the game to get you into it. As we've discussed on previous games and other genres about, kind of getting us into it. But yeah, so that said, if you, it is only $11, but if you are strapped for cash, I totally understand that. And in that case, you should check out our free fun game.
Finally tonight, we're talking free fun, and that free fun is FiSHGUN. This game is... You know how I say I love indie jank? This game has that indie jank feel. Man, it is so cool and yet so weird at the same time. You have a gun that is a fish, and when you kill things, you get little orb things, and you shove it in your fish's mouth, and then your fish changes its capabilities.
You might call it a FiSHGUN.
A FiSHGUN, even, yeah. And like the chaos comes from the fact that the only healing items that are available will change the properties of your gun. You have three different properties. You have the projectile, you have a secondary effect, and then you have, or a primary effect, and then you have a secondary effect. But the only healing that you get is by using one of the items that will change one of those three properties. So you got to get really, really good at like, is this one I'm going to throw as a grenade, or is this one I'm going to eat instead? Some of the effects are so cool. Like doing the machine gun fishy thing where it like blasts out like heat-seeking mini fish, but then also summons lasers on impact with items or enemies or ground, and then like, oh my gosh, and then you get like the bouncy ones. I hate the bombs. Let me just say, I hate the lobbing arcing one. I got stuck on several levels because I was like, oh no, I've got low health and I have to do this, and I lost like really good setups because of that. But that's part of the challenge on this. It's high speed, it's fast paced. You are running, you are sliding, you are gunning, and there's like almost an element of puzzle platform, but not quite. It's more just platform with the combat added in. I will say that if you die, you come right back to the most recent checkpoint, so you're not losing a whole lot of progress. This isn't a Dark Souls type game where you die at a boss and you have to run all the way back kind of scenario. But it is nuts, and it has that perfect flavor of jank. There is so much stuff going on screen. Like if you get the right combination of like bouncy laser shotgun stuff, like, and then hundreds of enemies on screen, like 9 different types that are all having their, and it's just like, you're like trying to, like, it's awesome.
Frantic.
Please check it out. Frantic? Yeah, frantic is a very, very easy word to use for this one.
What's cool though, I mean, it's like, it's super fast paced and kind of, it looks pretty smooth as a shooter, but like the movement in this is very
also smooth.
Yeah, but it's like between like, it's fast, and the long jumps and the wall running and things like that just makes you feel very badass. It kind of has the movement of like there are certain games I'm trying to think of. Maybe Cluster Truck a little bit. And
there's an element of like Cluster Truck. There maybe Titanfall.
Yeah. That's the
super hot.
A little bit of super hot. Yeah, I could see that. Without the stoppage, obviously, this is fast paced all the time.
There is no like the only time you get space to breathe is when you're moving into the next arena. Like that is it.
Man, are there a lot of levels in this? Did you like finish it?
I did not get a chance to finish it because I was losing my mind. Like I was getting sucked in pretty hardcore. Mm-hmm. But I am. Let's see. I have completed the temple.
Gotcha.
So that's the second achievement.
And Vance, you played
and
this too.
I think I was in the valley.
No,
I was just like this. I got stuck.
You didn't.
Yeah, I can't play it. It's
that's right, first person.
Game.
That's right.
Yeah.
You and your gamer stomach.
And it's very, and especially really fast paced, where you have to move around in first person. I would be puking next to my chair within seconds. That would be no good.
Yeah, if you have equilibrium issues or anything like that, so this game would not do well for you. But it is. I had so much fun with it.
Good.
No, I was just gonna say I had so much fun with it, and it really I started looking at other games that were like this just to see if it was like, oh, can I do that? What if I do that? Like this one's gonna be stuck, and it's free. Like, what more could you ask? Like, I'm actually pissed off that it's free.
This looks like something straight out of Devolver's catalog. To be honest.
Yeah, it easily should be. It should easily be at least $10, and it's not.
Makes me wonder if they're gonna expand upon it maybe and have like a paid.
They have been expanding upon it though.
But
like that's the thing. They just did they just added additional levels back in February, like 2 additional levels.
Games like
and
this
it's just like
make me, that's why indie games are awesome. Instead of the consolidated fucking shit we were talking about before. It allows for this creativity, because who's thinking about a FiSHGUN? This guy was probably high doing this, and in IGN, when they're high, they have to keep it on the down low, and they can't make games like this.
Unless they also buy Vice, and then they can. Yeah, I dropped 6 tabs of acid and 8 an ounce of mushrooms, and then played this video game.
I'm spoken from experience.
Have you not seen that review? Okay,
no.
We'll talk about it after.
I'm trying to find
this guy's like, oh yeah, I did a bunch of mushrooms and went to go see cats.
Oh no!
right before the pandemic.
Talking about a bad trip.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my mouse to work here, so I can transition back to our phases, and I can't find it because my mouse is fucking shitting the bed this entire show. There it is. All right. Before I transition, though, I just want to say again, free on Steam. You can find it right now. It was only
FiSHGUN.
Yeah, FiSHGUN. It is made by the developer FiSHGUNNers. They have a.
It's indie jank, man.
They have a peach on the Steam page. There is a peach wearing a thong, a G-string, I would say actually. So that's enough for me. That said, that's enough for this show, because this is the end. So thank you everyone who listened to the live version of the show. Again, we're going to have edited versions coming up in the next couple of days on Spotify, YouTube, and other places where podcasts are available. And for those of you listening to the edited version, we do have live shows. At the moment, we're still doing them on Wednesdays. They were on Tuesdays, but we're still doing them on Wednesdays. We'll see. Baseball season is done for me, so we could technically go back to Tuesdays, but we can, we'll talk about that if we need to. But for the time being, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern time, the only time zone that matters. you can join us there in chat and join us for the nonsense, as Ian has, as well as some others this entire show. So some ways that you can help us if you'd like, if you enjoy the show, is of course you can subscribe on Twitch. Financially, anyway, you can subscribe on Twitch. You can also join our Patreon there. But if you don't want to do it financially, you can also do some free things and that help us out, such as obviously sharing the show. But you can also email us news stories or games to check out. You can send that to contact@indiegameriot.net. Also find us on social media, Twitter @IndieGameRiot. Also Discord, the link below. Join our Discord. That's probably the best way to talk to us directly. We're always happy to talk to fellow indie enthusiasts and game devs and everything like that. If you are a game dev, share your game with us. Maybe even we might even be able to find some time to get you on the show. I think we were talking about maybe getting Guga on the show again since he came on IRX. We can actually get him on an episode for an interview. Have a little bit more of a loose thing instead of a structured thing like he had to do for IRX. I think that's it though. Anything I missed for the closeout? It's been a while.
Well, I mean, according to the show notes, we need to remind people that IRX is coming up last month.
In 2025.
Thanks to Prep and Discreet Infinity for backing us on Patreon. And I think that's that.
All right, guys. Well, any last words?
TechNet.
Damn it.
I don't know. That's the name of the brand of my new mouse.
Vance will be on his deathbed, and I'll be like, "Any last words?" He'll be like, "No." And I'll be like, "Technically, that's the last word. Ah, got him." And then he'll die. All right. Well, say your goodbyes, gentlemen.
Have a good one, folks.